Oh, snap. It's time to yap. And I'm your host, Big C, and welcome to another episode of Just Yapping. Today's episode number 21, I'm going to be talking about bug out bags, and what to kind of like put inside those bug out bags, and kind of like what when to prepare for your bug out bag if you do have one, and just do the best you can. So some of you are probably like, "Yo, Big C, what the f is a bug out bag?" A bug out bag is like a to go bag, but in for rigged for emergency situations. Okay. There have been some things going on lately that is a good time to plan for a bug out bag. Now, I've had one, and I've always wanted to like replenish and do my stuff. I'm not going to tell you what I have because I I won't. You'll never know what I have. But anyway, I'm going to try to like tell my fans out there maybe what to purchase to put inside that bug out bag. Now, usually a bug out bag, you just want your essentials. It's mostly like a survival thing, right? So, and if it's you by yourself, and you have a partner or you have children, it's always good to try to do bug out bags for each. Okay, and I'll go over maybe what type of things to put inside those bug out bags. So we all, it's no surprise, and I'm not here to like, make people scared and think. I just want to prepare my people, right? Because in this day and age, we all know that a natural disaster could happen at any time. We have no control over weather, right? And I've mentioned this before. Weather has been changing uh drastically for the last 20-25 years, and it's only getting worse, right? So we have to do our best to prepare for certain situations. You go to the Midwest, or you go to the West, you have mudslides, and you have really, really scary forest fires and stuff like that, which there's no control when wind is involved. But and then you have flooding, and then you have hurricanes on the East Coast. It's just, you just keep going on and on. We're fortunate here in the United States that they don't have things like you have over in like Asia or stuff like that. That's like typhoons and like crazy tsunamis and things that will just wipe out a map in a heartbeat, and that's really, really scary. And you're probably thinking like, what do you do in those situations? Like, I'm no expert in those situations because thank God I haven't been in those situations before. I can't imagine where to begin or how to start. um the most important thing is yourself, trying to rescue yourself. Sometimes it sounds selfish, and you see things, you see videos and stuff of people just trying to do their best to save themselves. They have their kids, they go, yeah, I've seen horrible videos where instead of saving your kids too, they just run off and selfish and save themselves. But please save your kids, man, come on. So anyway, the bug out bag, right? So a bug out bag is basically, it can be a backpack, or it can be something that's, you don't, if you're gonna lug it around, you don't want that thing to be super duper heavy, unless you're a big person that can actually handle something like that. But it all depends on whether you're on foot or whether you're in a car or things like that of that nature. You want to get maybe from point A to point B. So we all have been through it during the COVID. I hate talking about it, but it's an example of the type of survival that you would need in a situation like that. Unfortunately, it lasted years, and nobody think it would have, but it did. And what were we doing? We were trying to survive, right? That was the big thing, was to survive. But in certain situations where, we all know everything's changing, things are changing, and we don't know what to expect. So you know what? Why not be a little prepared? You're not always going to be prepared to the max, because there's no way, unless you're a billionaire and you can fly or you can do whatever you want with that money. But those people, like, who can kind of afford it, I'm gonna push on what to kind of buy. All right, I'm not gonna tell you what I have. I'm just gonna tell you things that I think you should purchase, all right, and keep by. So again, it's a book bag, right? And they also sell them online, believe it or not, right? If you look online, like survival, they're called, bug out bags, or to go bags. They have all your essentials on there, right? But even if you were to purchase that, right, and it'll tell you like a bug out bag for 3 days, and it'll hold medical supplies, it'll hold flashlights, it'll hold raincoats, it'll hold certain things like I don't know, snacks and water and things of that nature. But each bug out bag is probably for one person survival. So just imagine if you have a family of 4, you got to buy 3 more, right? And they can be super, super pricey. But if you just come about and get a bag that's, not super large and stuff, and you have essentials in there. And what I mean is, like, for those who have, medicines and stuff that they need, little separate little Ziploc bag, and put it down, right? Photocopy your driver's license, and maybe photocopy your passport, because you never know where you're going to end up. That's super important. And I've learned that through a lot of things. If you have a passport, make photocopies and put it away somewhere, like hide it, put it somewhere where, and things of that nature. You would want to purchase water, right? But you have to understand, there's some people don't understand this about water. People are like, I got tons of water. See, but if you have tons of water, which is fantastic, that water starts to break down in the plastic content, like in a plastic little water thing like this. Once in a blue moon, the actual, like, when it goes from, like, if you leave a thing, for example, if you leave a case of water inside of your trunk in your car, and it's there for like 8-9 months, guess what happens? The seasons have changed, right? It goes from like warm to super hot to boiling hot, and that thing's just in your trunk, right? It's just doing the thing. And then the fall comes and it gets a little cooler, and then the winter comes, it freezes again, and then rethaw. So the content in that plastic bottle, the chemicals in there are mixing in that water, and then you take a sip and it, I've done it before, and I taste it. I'm like, oh, it tastes like pasta water, right? It's crazy, or it tastes whatever. It tastes nasty. So that water's, it's fine, right? And you would use it. All you have to do is probably get a little campfire going, boil it, and you're good. But why take that risk, right? So it's always good if you have bottled water or something like that. Try to replenish it every like 6 to 7 months, just in case. Replenish it out of your bug out bag, right? So your medications, water, right? They also sell, believe it or not, it all depends on what you want, how many liters, so on and so forth. They sell these bags, right? You go on the internet and they sell these bags where it's a filtration system. Like, if there's a huge like puddle of muddy water, literally, you can scoop it, or they have straws that you can actually suck from the puddle of water or whatever, and it filters itself through the straw, and you drink and you survive and you do whatever. And it basically, they have bigger bags where you take whatever water you find and dump it in the bag, and it filters itself, and you have a big jug of water and whatever. Purchase that. Raincoats, they sell raincoats with insulation in it, because you don't know what the weather's going to be like, right? You can buy flashlights that have a piece of magnet, but the magnet is also surrounded in like copper wiring, and you take the flashlight and you actually shake it back and forth, and with the movement, it lights up, it illuminates, right? They sell those things. They sell radios with the wind up coil that you whip, 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 and it turns on whatever radio station. They also sell they almost look like large cell phones, but when you open it up, it like flips open, and it's a solar panel, but the solar panel could charge your phones, your computers, whatever, to keep communication. I wouldn't buy batteries, only because if you put batteries, like the shelf life, and then you go and you put it inside of your bag and stuff, who knows if the battery explodes or just leaks or whatever, and then whatever stuff you have in that bag can be contaminated. You don't want that, right? Especially if you have water, you have food, or you have something in there, right? A good thing too is to get like you have like dry matches, like waterproof matches is good. Get yourselves a few knives that you can actually cut with, or cut wire with. They sell them, like, if you look online, again, they have bags, or you can buy individual things that won't cost you a fortune, but you can just buy little things and then make your own bag. They sell strikers, meaning like match strikers and stuff, with lint, or waterproof matches. They have so many different things out there that you can do for survival. Again, they also sell, like, and I wasn't going to tell you what I have, but I'm going to tell you what I keep in my car, right? And I do this all the time. I have socks, extra socks, t-shirts, hoodies, jacket, range, whatever, because I personally just don't know what the weather is going to be like. So I have all extra, a pair of jeans, a pair of sweatpants, things of that nature. So to make a bug out bag, you would want to maybe just, again, because you don't know when it could happen or when it might happen. So I would put, like, a pair of shorts, like seasonal things, like, so, and I wouldn't be, I want to walk around with a hoodie and it's freaking 110 degrees outside. But that's not going to work. But I mean, I can cut the sleeves off and do whatever, but you pack your bag the way you want. But again, make sure you restore that water, right? I know people who have bins, right? Even in their basement, or where they have bins of dry rice, dry pasta, things of that nature, because you can always eat rice and you can always eat pasta. People are like, oh, after like 7 months, you get these little. Guess what? Guess what the fire and guess what the hot boiling water is going to do to those little buggies? And that's probably a little protein in the little whatever you're going to have. You're going to have macaroni bolognese with a little bug in it. Oh, right. So you never know. You actually never know. Again, the dangers around you and all that stuff. For those who have firearms and stuff, just be careful, because I mean, I don't know I do know the laws, but I'm saying, as far as like in a situation like that you walk around carrying it, just be careful. I'm not going to get too much into that, because that's on a different level. And just, pack free. If you have animals and you want to take an animal, you're going to have to, like, get, if they're on medication too, you'd be surprised. You're going to have to pack some little treats and a little food for your dog, and keep it on the sides. But see, that's hard too, because if you're going to get the milk bones and stuff, or just like the dry food, fantastic. That's great, because the dry food's going to last. But you can't get any of the cans. Where are you going to put the cans? You can't refrigerate it. If you leave it out in wherever, it's going to go bad and your dog's going to get sick and whatever. It's sad to say, when there's things of that nature that happen, people just leave their pets behind, which is really, really heartbreaking, because they're part of the family, and stuff. My thing too is, like, a lot of people don't have cars, right? They take public transportation. So you're probably saying, Big C, what am I going to do? Like, carry a bug out bag everywhere I go? No, but you would probably want it, if you do, you probably want to get it if something were to happen, and it all depends on how far away you are, which is, maybe make one, and I don't know, bring a small one to work, so which it'll help you get home to get the real big bag. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be large, and don't bring in no weapons or anything to work, because then it'd be like, yo, Big C told me. No, I don't want to hear that. All right, don't be bringing no weapons to work. All right. But like, as far as like, raincoats, the illumination candles, I forgot the name. It'll come back to me. I'm old. When you get old, you get these little things you forget. And glow sticks, crack the glow sticks and all that. They're for safety too, so people can actually see you, or they're illuminated enough that you can actually see where you're going if you don't have a flashlight, which is cool too. And pack a small bag and keep it maybe somewhere in your office, in your locker room or something. If God forbid something were to happen, you have at least something. You don't want to not have anything. If you do have cars, maybe, and let's say, your husband or your wife, or your husbands and your wives, whatever, maybe pack a small one in your vehicles until you go home and get the big one, or whatever you have. Maybe it's unfortunate people can't go back home or things like that, but at least, again, I'm just saying this to be like, structured in your mind, where, we're in this day and we're in this age that anything could happen, and that, and you're going to be like, how the heck am I going to get my boat? At least you have something in your car, right? An extra blanket, some, I don't know, something, a can of food, because sometimes you have a shelf life, and you cook it's going to be fine. You use survival People know how to survive out there. I don't even have to tell you, but I'm just explaining to you that you should kind of be somewhat prepared, right? You should be prepared for something, instead of waiting for that day. We don't know what's going to happen, and then go out there and struggle and really get it. So you should kind of like prepare for, like, maybe let's say 3 days, 3 to 4 days max, because whatever happens, there should be help on the way. You would hope, right? We're in a country where help is on the way, but we don't know. So again, certain to go bags. A lot of people, I have friends who are just like, man, I have all types of stuff, and I'm like, well, don't make it too heavy, because if you do, you won't be able to carry that thing. They're like, trust me, I'll carry it. Okay. Maybe purchase a little compass. Maybe get some rope, some tape. Maybe it's called shelter half, which is like it's like a tent, half of a tent, and that way, if you need to hide somewhere or from the elements and stuff, you can at least cover half, and or just use your ponchos, the ponchos with the inliners. I'm sorry, military personnel, I always go into that military structure of my mind, and I'm sorry, we know what ponchos are, but I was going into shelter half. People like, what the hell is it, a shelter half? So in that case, it's just a half of a shelter. That's it. And you just put it under a tree, or you put it somewhere for cover, and at least, you'll be fine for a couple of days. I'm not going to tell you to bring your favorite teddy bear or your favorite pillow, your blanket, because I don't even think you would have time to get all that stuff. There's some people, like, I've seen things happen on the television where people are just like bringing their televisions, and they're bringing their couches, and you don't have time for that. I get it, and there's certain mementos in your home that, like, you just don't have time for that. It's unfortunate, man. People, really, really struggle with it, and they're like, I'm not leaving my home. I'm going to protect my home. And you got to protect yourself. You come first. All those things, all those materialistic things sometimes can be replaced. But you as a person, nobody wants to see you hurt. Nobody wants to see you go for something that you could have prevented by just leaving, And again, some people work hard for what they have, and some people have things where it was just handed off generation to generation, and they don't want to lose any of that. And when a natural disaster happens and stuff, and listen, I can only imagine, what they go through and stuff in those situations. But you're the most important thing is you. So you go out there and you protect yourself, you help yourself, and then with everything else, listen, again, if they can be replaced, they can. If not, they're just going to be up here in your memory, and that's all we can do, right? But again, we always pray and we always hope that nothing happens, because we want to go living life with no BS and nothing popping off and all that. But listen, again, we don't control the weather. We don't control weather. We don't control BS political things that are happening in the world today. We can control it, but we as just regular, Mojo and whoever, Maria and everybody else, we don't have a say. We just keep going every day. We do what we do, and we continue. Do you have a plan? Do you have some sort of plan on what to do? God forbid happens. I don't have one. I just know that hopefully I'll get together with my family. We get bags, and we're out somewhere. I always say, you might want to keep. And I shouldn't say this, because then there's people probably going to listen and be like, oh, we're going to start breaking into houses. No, I'm just telling you, this is a survival thing. Like, we're not even talking about that. But there's people out there that are just whatever. All right. And they're just listening to it, and they're going to be like, oh, we're going to start robbing houses because people start leaving things. No, this is survival. Okay. In a sad situation, people might, have a couple of dollars, behind, leave money behind, and stuff like that, which in this day and age, we know that if the computers go down, you can't use your card, you can't use your credit card, you can't use something. So maybe, in a Bugout bag, you have a couple of dollars, or nothing too extreme, but something that's survival that you might have to pay for something, $20 here, this is for bread or whatever, something to survive on, right? Does that make sense? And you just keep, you let your family know, or you let your loved ones know, hey, in the case of an emergency, I have this bag here, just grab it, or I got to go home and get my bag, or if something happens in your home, go and do your thing, right? That's what we're this is what this podcast is for, right? To just help people try to plan for it. Sad thing, those who are disabled and those who are elderly, like, they're probably like, what about them? I pray and I hope that they have a plan already set for them, right? I hope, because we all know through COVID, a lot of, the elderly people and those that are disabled were really left behind. That really sucks, man. And that really heartbreaking that people will stoop to that level, especially if they're in your care, right? That's really sad. You can't, they're not garbage. They're somebody's mom, dad, grandparents, whatever. You can't leave people behind. That's really sad. Does it happen? We know it happens, and it's really disgusting, and it's really sad. But again, we all have to do our best to get people to safety and feed them and shelter them and make sure that they have the right medications and all that, right? So we as a community, we as a whole, we as a human race, we have to do our best so these things do not happen, but they could happen, right? Rain, fire, wind, all that stuff, right? It can happen. So again, this is just a little tidbit on what to prepare for. You get your bug out bags. Again, if you go online, they sell they sell MREs, which is meals ready to eat, which we military personnel would eat out in the field, and it comes with all different types of things. And they even have for vegetarians out there. You just got to read the boxes and stuff, and it has, and you rip it open, and it has whatever, they have Tabasco sauce, salt, pepper, the food, desserts, all that. It comes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but whatever, how you order it is how you get it. And they have, top of the line foods. It's not cheap food. It's not made in a laboratory. It's actually real food. Like if you're going to get Kraft mac and cheese, it's going to be Kraft mac and cheese. They deal with companies who actually, deal, like Tabasco. It's Tabasco sauce. You see it, or the gum is Chiclet or whatever, chewing gum, Dentine. It's, that's what it's from. The coffee is like Folgers, whatever is in there. It is. It's not BS stuff, right? So they also have like little. They have a bag. They have one. It's brown, which the food is in there, but they also have a plastic bag, and on the bottom there's like these little rocks. You put the food in there. If you want it nice and hot, you put the food in there, and then you fill up, the rim just to where it says fill here, because if you fill over, it won't heat up. But you put the water in there, and it starts bubbling, but you got to close it, and it starts heating up and stuff, and you're gonna get a hot meal. But you have to be careful when you open up the bag. It's gonna steam. It's hot as heck, and just be careful. Don't breathe in the smoke that's there, because it's not good for you, right? And that's that. And it goes in those meals ready to eat, come in boxes. They come in 12 or 24 stuff. You see it. If you go online and you look for survival stuff, especially you type in MREs or meals ready to eat, you'll see it, and you'll go, and they have, forget it, crates. There's companies that actually have jugs, like containers and barrels, like full of food for days, and all. They're expensive. For my people out there that that are on a budget and really can't afford much, like, I'm not telling you to go out there and go berserk little by little. There's, go on Amazon. You can buy, they probably sold 12 packs, or it's just get it, save it. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you have any questions or comments, you can look me up at Just Yappin, JUSYAPPIN 73 at TikTok or YouTube, and just leave me a comment or a message and stuff, and I'll do my best to get back to you. So I think that's about my time for today. Again, if you get the opportunity, please go subscribe, like, and make a comment on those pages. All right. So I hope you guys stay safe. And again, try to prepare the best you can. All right. Because we never know what tomorrow brings. All right. I'm Big C. Peace.